What's up, LEGO builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios for a truly epic LEGO Star Wars review.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles.
With me today, I have the LEGO Star Wars Ultimate Collector Series Star Destroyer, set number 75252. It comes with an astounding 4,780 pieces and will be released this October for $700 US. This is a replica build of the Devastator, which is Darth Vader's personal flagship, the same Star Destroyer we see in the opening credits of A New Hope. This was a very intimidating and challenging build for me. However, after over 10 hours of building, digging for pieces, and head scratching, I have finally completed it. I'm very excited to show it to you guys today. There are some awesome features I think you're really going to like. There are 2 minifigures included, however, I don't have very high opinions of them, but I'm interested to see what you guys think. So let's dive in and take a look. For this review to have a good flow and to be organized, I'm going to start down here at the bottom and slowly work myself up with the bottom section, middle section, upper section, and then finally the top section. The frame is a pretty solid and sturdy construction. It's a wide base and it goes up into the ship and connects to the Technic frame. Here is the placard that lists some features and specifications of the ship. One of my complaints about this ship is how few specifications and specs are on here. And there are a few things, but the older one has a much more detailed list. Behind the list, we see the bottom of a round ion reactor, I believe was what it is, and it looks really nice. LEGO did a really good job of capturing that round shape. This is the first and main hangar of the 2 hangars in the Star Destroyer, and we've got a miniature TIE fighter docked right now, and you can also dock the Tantive 4 in this area if you want. The detailing of this hangar is insane. You can't really even see the Star Destroyer hangar unless you come underneath it, which is really difficult. So they could have skimped on this hangar if they wanted to, but they did a really good job. I especially like the tracks leading to all the separate entrances and exits to the hangar. This is the secondary and smaller hangar. This one is not used as much. This one is saved for special high-ranking officers and other shuttles and ships of that nature. So it's not commonly used or seen. Here we have the bottom air. Oh shoot, looks like I totally forgot to finish building the Star Destroyer. No, just kidding. What happened was I was in the middle of building this, and because there are so many bags in this set, each numbered bag has multiple bags. So there's like 2 bag 5s, 3 bag 16s, 2 bag 12s, and so on. However, I only received 1 bag 10. And so I was actually unable to finish this entire bottom portion. And I called LEGO's headquarters to see if I could get some replacement parts in. And apparently they can't give out replacement parts until this is officially released on October 1st. So that further added to my frustration. So I'm actually missing an entire bag from this set, which was incredibly frustrating. And I can honestly say I have never run into that before, which made me curious. Have any of you guys ever missed an entire bag when building a set? Up here on the back towards the bridge, we have 4 turbo laser cannons. Each one can swivel 360 degrees, and all the barrels on the turrets rotate up and down. I was really impressed with the level of detail that went into each of these turbo lasers. I mean, they may be small, but you can definitely see all kinds of cool little features and details on these, which make them really fun to play with and look at. The first 3 are the same, and then this last one actually has elongated barrels and a slightly different turret area. I'm not sure why they did that, but it's really cool. So we move along the side. There are a few patches of winged slope pieces like right here and right here that really add some nice texture and depth to this set. Instead of just keeping it on one flat plane, you can see they raised and lowered certain areas in order to make it even more accurate. Up here near the middle of the ship, we have 3 axial defense turrets. I thought this was a really cool addition. In fact, I actually had to look up and see what these represented because I had no idea what they were. They weren't on the old Star Destroyer, and I hadn't noticed them before on the real thing, but they're actually there. They're mini turrets used to defend this middle front area of the Star Destroyer. There's a whole lot going on in the back here. We have 3 large main engines with 4 accompanying smaller engines. I did not expect there to be this much detail on the back. As you can see, these smaller barrels are hooked onto these larger plates that jut out of the back of the ship. There's just so much going on back here. Fun little greebling piece right here. We have Thor's hammer. I don't know how well you can see back there, but unfortunately you can see some orange and yellow pieces from the interior. The designers went even as far as to stick these small smooth flaps on the back, which they're a small addition and kind of a pain to build, but they add so much to this rear end of the Star Destroyer. Honestly, there's just as much going on right here as there is on any other part of the ship, and that is very impressive to me. I want to take a second and talk about the greebling running along the entire side of this Star Destroyer because it's very different from the old Star Destroyer. I don't want to do too many comparisons to the old Star Destroyer in this video because I'll be doing my own comparison later, but the old Star Destroyer had a section about 8 to 10 bricks long that had greebling pieces on it, and that was just repeated over and over and over for the entire length of the ship, which made for a very slow and monotonous build. This, however, has an almost unique pattern throughout the entire length. There are a couple spots that are repeated a little bit, but that was very refreshing for me because it gets old doing the same sequence over and over, so it was nice to have a little bit of a change. Right here, about midway through the ship, we have a quad laser cannon. This has quite a bit of posability with the individual barrels as well as the entire gun. As of right now, this upper area is one of my favorite parts to look at on the Star Destroyer, and the reason being is it has such a solid look to it, just a solid build, and look how seamless this is. It looks almost like it just blends right into the hull of the Star Destroyer, and I think that's awesome because the last one had some big gaps all along right here, but this one does not. A little frying pan greebling right here in case the stormtroopers get hungry. I'm mostly just showing you guys one side of the ship. However, this side is completely identical to over here. So what you see over here is basically what you see over there. Now for the bridge, we have on either side the generators for the shields, the deflector shields that protect the ship. This was always an interesting feature to me. I've pondered long and hard as to why the designers of the Star Destroyer decided to put the critical shield generators right here, literally as giant balls sticking off the top of their ship. I feel like that's a pretty easy and pretty well-marked target. However, there must be some explanation for it. Here we have another fun play feature. This right here flips up and down like this, and this is the, oh my goodness, everything's deciding to break on me right now. This is the tractor beam targeting array. So this basically targets and locks in the tractor beams for pulling in ships to the hangar. So it's pretty cool that it can move up and down, I guess, even though it's pretty much the same height, whether it's up like this or folded back. We've got more greebling on the back of the midsection, as well as the back of this neck running up to the bridge. Not a whole lot going on right here in the bridge. It does, however, open and reveals a tiny bit of an interior. If you pop this panel off, you can see there is a small platform in there, as well as some areas to put some computers and stuff if you want. So I was actually kind of happy they did that. That will open up future modifications and other changes that I could make if I wanted to put an interior to the bridge. As far as small scale details go, that's about it that I wanted to cover for the Star Destroyer. There are a few big picture things or bigger things that I do want to talk about. The first being the overall seamless nature of this set. Now, if you watched my review of the older UCS Star Destroyer, you know there is a absolutely massive crack running along the entire length of the ship. And this Star Destroyer does have that same thing. However, this one is a much smaller and a much tighter crack. as well as beneath here, there are light gray Technic pieces, so you can't really see any kind of deep chasm or a hole as like you could with the old one. So major props to the designers of this. I'm still blown away with how seamless all these connections are with the different pieces. One surprising oversight to me that I did not expect was the amount of brightly colored bricks that you're able to see from the exterior of the ship. I'm going to show you a few spots that I'm talking about. You might not be able to see it through the camera, but you can definitely see it with the naked eye. The first being are these tan sloped pieces. You can see one on each side, as well as up here you can see these blue bricks on either side. And then there are some other pieces along the back side. And then right here, I don't know how well you guys can see, but there is a distinct red marking right there from a red brick. And the reason this surprised me is because the old UCS Star Destroyer has almost no exposed inner brightly colored bricks. And so I was really surprised that there were so many reds, blues, tans, and yellows so close to the surface of this ship. The last thing I'm going to show you guys is how you go about picking up this behemoth. These two plates remove right here. They just pop out of little pegs like so. And they reveal the guts of the ship. And you can pick it up right here. It's pretty lopsided towards the rear, so it tends to tip. So I like to reach my hands in a little deeper and grab along this thicker support area to lift up the ship. That's it for the Imperial Star Destroyer. Let's take a quick look at the Tantive 4 and the minifigures. The Tantive 4 is a pretty simplistic micro design. Nonetheless, it does look really good. Nothing really special that I feel like I need to point out. It looks pretty much like the real thing. It's got this cool little satellite dish on top, as well as the mass of thrusters in the back of the ship that propel it forward. But all in all, I'm really impressed with this design. I think it looks really good and fairly accurate. These are the two minifigures included in this set. On the right we have an Imperial officer, and on the left a technician. This is the first Imperial officer I've ever owned, so I don't really know what to compare him to, but he does look pretty cool. He's got some badges right here to signify his rank, as well as the little Imperial seal on the top of his helmet. But other than that, pretty straightforward. I do like the colors on him. Looks pretty good. Here is the technician, and probably my favorite of the two minifigures, just because I really like the light gray as well as these white Imperial patches on either arm. I just think they look really cool, and overall a pretty cool looking minifigure. I don't know why they included these two minifigures. These are two nameless minifigures, and you would think you would get at least some people with names with this giant set. Now that the main part of the review is over, I want to give you guys a few of my thoughts on this set. This Star Destroyer is hands down one of my favorite sets I have in my collection. It's absolutely beautiful, very accurate, and very well built. That being said, it is not without its flaws. I have three main critiques for this set. The first being it's not very modular. What I mean by that is the previous Star Destroyer, the one behind me, came apart very easily. This top piece was able to just plop off, as well as this section and this section. So you're able to remove this entire area very easily and then stack it back together. As well as each of these plates, these two top ones and these two bottom ones, were able to be removed in one piece each. So this made it great for storing or transporting. This one is not so much that way. Other than these two panels that you saw pop off earlier to get to the handle, this thing does not come apart very easily. In fact, it would take me a little while to figure out how to take everything apart again, as these pieces are connected differently to each other and connected differently to the Technic frame. These panels are actually in two pieces each, so there's one here and one here. So you can't really break this thing down and transport it anywhere, which is unfortunate. Number two is the amount of blue, tan, and green pieces that you can see from just standing next to it. This was frustrating for me because I can see blues, I can see reds, and that just really takes away from the beauty of this set. I'm also surprised that LEGO put so much attention to detail and accuracy and then left so many brightly colored parts out in the open. Now this may be because I built the set and I have a acute attention to detail, so I like to look for little flaws and things. So if maybe someone were to just walk by and take a look at it, they wouldn't really see that. However, I just think that's kind of annoying, especially because the older version doesn't really have any brightly colored pieces that are visible. Third has got to be the minifigures. Now I know a lot of other people have talked about this, but I want to add my 2 cents as well. This is the Devastator, which is Darth Vader's personal Star Destroyer. So you would think you would maybe get a Darth Vader minifigure, a Princess Leia, maybe a Grand Moff Tarkin, or at least somebody else with a name or somebody who was seen on the ship. I guess you do see technicians and officers running around. However, I feel like those are minifigures that you would pick up in a battle pack, not necessarily a $700 UCS set. That being said, I really do love this set, and I do think it's worth the price. Initially, when I saw this set revealed and I saw the price, I was not very happy. I was pretty frustrated with Lego. However, having built this set, I come to understand why it's so expensive. This set has a lot of those giant rectangle plates. I don't remember how big they are. However, they are the ones that you can connect. So it's like a base plate, but you can connect it to other bricks. And those are pretty pricey. If you look for those on Bricklink, those things are definitely over $1 a piece. And there are quite a few sprinkled throughout this ship, as well as other larger rectangle pieces. So the amount of giant pieces on this set make me understand a little bit more as to why it's so expensive. So that wraps up the video for this UCS Star Destroyer. Thank you guys all so much for sticking through this video. I really hope I was able to make it entertaining and able to do justice to this beautiful set. If you guys have any ideas, tips, or anything you would like to tell me that would help improve my videos, I would greatly appreciate if you left those down below in the comments, as well as don't forget to let me know what you guys think of this set. If you guys liked the video, don't forget to leave me a like. And as always, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, as you won't want to miss any of my future content. But until then, happy building.